Hey everyone, Sheila here from Lifewithpets. So today we're going to take a look at aquarium plants. We get so many questions on what are the plants that we use in our tank, how do we take care of them, are they easy to take care of? So we are going to look at some of the easiest aquarium plants in my opinion to take care of, what they need and how we go about caring for them. As usual, I will leave links in the description box below and more information if you want to take a look at it. Okay, so let's take a look at some of our plants. So I'm going to start with the 20-gallon long tank. This is probably the one we get the most questions on. So I'm going to talk about the plants in this tank and also the substrate. So getting to basics, plants really need three things. They need the water, they need lighting, and they need food. So the food can either come from the substrate itself, which you could do a dirty tank, or you could use something like fluval stratum. Now this one here is fluval stratum. You can also use something like Eco Complete. And with these, certainly for the first few months, you would not need to use any type of food. If you wanted to use fertilizer, you can. We do not use fertilizer in most of our tanks. However, we do in our 75-gallon, and I will show you that one a bit later on in the video. So in this tank, we do now use the Vital root tabs, and I will leave a link to them in the description box below if you want to take a look at them. And with the lighting, again, I will leave links to all the lighting that we use on each tank as well. So those two things are very important. Now, the fish waste and any uneaten food will also fertilize your plants, but for the most part, it's not usually enough. You do need to normally supplement as well. So the plants in this tank, we have green cryptocorin, which is right in the corner there. And then the bigger plant is the Ancarias or Anacaris. It depends really where you're from to how people say that. This one here is a crypt Wenti, and it's actually quite a large one. This one just seems to keep growing and growing and growing. And then we've got Amazon sword in the back, and then another green, actually no, I think this one is another Cryptocorin Wenti as well. So this tank we don't really do anything with. We use the substrate to feed the plants. We also have the lighting actually on this one is not particularly that bright. It does look it in the video, but it's not bright at all. It's quite low light. All these plants are low light plants, so you don't really need a high powered light for these to grow very healthily. I do occasionally add in root tabs, and as the substrate ages over time, then we will have to do that more and more. But right now I don't put root tabs in very often at all. So this tank is doing amazing. We don't actually do many water changes on it because the plants do take care of the toxins in the water, mainly the nitrate level. And so usually all I have to do is just top it off, and that's basically it. I do probably every other week do about a 50% water change, and that's all the maintenance that goes on in this tank. Occasionally I will trim leaves. However, you can see one at the back there that started to die off, and so the shrimp are actually now eating it. So I will very often leave the leaves if they do start to die back, because the shrimp will eat them, but it's very rarely we actually get any dieback. But on this occasion, as you can see, there is one there. So moving on, this is our 10-gallon divided tank, and again we have similar plants in here. It is a sand substrate, which means you do need to feed the plants. Sand has no nutrients in it whatsoever, and so you do need to add a food into the tank so that the plants can feed on that food, and root tabs are a really good option for that. So we do use root tabs exclusively in this tank, and as you can see, the plants have just taken off like crazy. So the plant at the top there is frogbit, and this is actually one we do sell on our website. It is a great floating plant, especially for betta fish. They just love to hide up in it because the roots come down into the tank. We then also have Anubias, that's the one over on the left, and then we've got another crypt plant as well, and these are just growing like crazy. The height of them, they're almost filling the tank, but the betta fish love it because they swim in and out of it all. This side, the same thing, a different type of Anubias, and then also another crypt, and then the floating plants on top. Anubias are great plants for beginners, so that is a plant like this one and also this one, and we do have loads of them in the 75 gallon that I can show you the different varieties. They are excellent plants for beginners simply because they are an extremely low light plant, and so you really have to go some basically to kill them. They are ones that you sort of attach to decorations. You don't put the roots into the substrate, otherwise they will die. This one here is just jammed between the glass and the decoration, and then this one here I've just trapped the roots into the decoration as well. You can also glue them to decorations, and we've done that as well. In fact, in the other tank we've actually done that, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. So this tank is looking extremely healthy. The plants are growing like crazy. The frog bit is producing unbelievably, that we're able to keep it on sale all the time now because we produce so much of it. So this one is an extremely healthy tank, and the plants grow great with the root tabs, like say the substrate. There's no nutrients in that whatsoever. And then the light on this tank is just a very basic cheap LED light that we got from Amazon, and again I will leave the link to that in the description box below. And that particular light we now actually use on most of our tanks. We like it that much. And then the last tank is our 75 gallon puffer tank. And as you can see, this one is well planted, and we use the same plants near enough in all of our tanks because we like things to be easy and not difficult. This one we are using the Eco Complete substrate, and I haven't found this one to be as good for plants. Everyone seems to just rave about this substrate, but for us personally, I haven't found it to be one of the best ones. But like I say, that is just us. I don't know whether we're maybe doing something wrong and that's why it's not working for us. But I do find that I really have to substitute an awful lot of root tabs and dosing in this tank, and maybe that's what you're supposed to do. I really don't know. As I've said, I am not an expert at all with plants. We just enjoy them, and I do think that they do look great in an aquarium. So in this one we have some Bacopa in the back. This one is just actually starting to grow. It needed to convert over, which basically means it was grown out of water and then it has to convert to growing in water, and so that is what that one is doing. And then you can see we have attached a lot of different Anubias to this piece of driftwood here. Actually I think it's spiderwood, and then to a decoration at the back. So you can either just sort of jam the roots in, or you can glue them in by using super glue. And then as we move along, we've got some more Amazon sword, and we've got some sort of smaller Anubiases. We've got some moss balls, and then some more over here. Now we do have some Java moss back there. I don't know whether you can see that. And then also another Anubias, and then a Amazon sword. I can't remember what type that one was. And then we've also got some more crypt at the front. So this tank is pretty well planted. Now I do use fertilizer in this tank simply because the plants, especially the Anubias, take the nutrients from the water column, not obviously from the roots being in substrate. So we do put fertilizer into this tank, and it is doing really well. We did have a lot of Anacarus in here, however it literally got dug up and ended up over this side of the tank, and it was just floating everywhere. It was creating a mess, and so we did take it out, and we've just stuck with something very simple. I do think that we possibly will add some more Bacopa because that has taken very well, but at this point I'm not very sure. For the longest time, we never used plants in our aquariums. We always went with fake plants, just probably because I thought we couldn't keep plants alive. However, I have to say it is extremely easy. If you have a half decent light, you get some root tabs and it doesn't matter whether you're using gravel or whether you're using sand or you are using a plant substrate, the plants should grow. Now, a lot of people do talk about algae on the plants, and sometimes it can be a balancing act to whether you do get a lot of algae or not. And we do find that if the lights are on for too long or we are feeding quite heavy in a tank, then we will start to get algae, but usually it will clear up if you scale back on lighting, you maybe do an extra water change or two, or you reduce the feeding. That can also make a difference as well. So for me personally, I think the easiest plants are the Anubias plants, which are these here. Also Amazon sword, and then also the crypt plants, which we have just sort of a small one in here, and it's this one at the front. I do think they are the easiest to grow. Now, there are many others that are easy, but these are the ones that we basically haven't failed with at all in any aquarium. They've grown really well, they've grown with little effort. And so to me, they're the ones that if you're going to start off, I just think that they're the easiest ones. Just make sure that you've got food for the plants and that you've got a half decent light on your aquarium. So as I've been stood here a while filming this, all these guys think they're getting fed, so I'm going to put in some bloodworms for them to eat, and let's see if we can get the feeding frenzy on footage. These guys go crazy for the bloodworms. It's interesting actually, because this is like the mini bloodworms and they much prefer them over the regular bloodworms. So I often just drop in a few cubes. I'm sorry for the glare, guys. I've got the lights on the other tank. And then there's the other one as well. They love bloodworms. It's probably their favourite food, although they like snails as well, having said that. There we go. One of the denison barbs has run off with it, so it is all gone. Okay guys, so there you go. I would encourage anybody to try aquarium plants. Like I say, in the beginning, we were not that keen on doing them. I thought we'd never keep them alive. It would be really difficult, but you know what? It's not that hard. So give it a go. Don't be afraid to give it a go. Maybe just start out with one plant and see how it goes. Get some decent root tabs, get some decent lighting. Your substrate really doesn't matter if you've got root tabs. Like say, you can use the gravel, sand, whatever you want to use, and just give it a go, play around with it. Live plants are so good for aquariums because they do remove toxins from the water. So don't be afraid and give it a go. If you're not subscribed to this channel and would like to see more videos like this, or just generally on fish, we do videos on betta fish and goldfish, pufferfish. We do all sorts of different types of video. So go ahead and subscribe if you like what you see. All right guys, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.